Tonight, woes of former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah deepens as special prosecutor freezes multiple bank accounts with different currencies. Details as a special prosecutor also applies to the court to extend custody of currency seized from the former Sanitation Minister's home. We have exclusive details.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Now, the woes of embattled former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah is deepening tonight as it emerges multiple bank accounts which hold substantial amounts with different currencies have been frozen. The action was taken by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, although the OSP holds the authority to administratively freeze accounts linked to a person of interest. Court approval is necessary to prolong the action. We're getting a bit more exclusive details on this unfolding investigations into the amount of money found in her home following a report which in itself has triggered this controversy over who actually owns that amount. I want to bring in right now my colleague Elton Broby, who's been working his sources and following this for us as he breaks tonight. Elton, thank you very much. And what more are we learning as far as the bank accounts are concerned?
Is that the OSP has frozen some bank accounts belonging to the former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah. And we are talking about accounts both in local and foreign currency. Now, the OSP, we are told, has currently a motion before a court, and they're hoping to move the motion on Thursday to allow the office to continue to hold on to the seizure and also the freezing of the account. Remember that the OSP some 2 weeks back arrested the former minister for corruption and corruption-related activities when some amount of money, including $1 million, 300,000 euros, and some thousands of Ghana cedis were allegedly stolen by some house help who worked with the former Sanitation Minister. Now, she was brought before the OSP for questioning, after which her home was searched. Now, what we are learning this evening is that when the OSP searched the home of the former minister, they uncovered some money and they seized this money as well. And then also went on further to investigate her. And in course of their investigation, came across this, bank accounts belonging to the former Sanitation and Water Minister. Now, the OSP, per the law establishing it specifically at 959, chapter 38, clause 1, it says, where the special prosecutor considers that freezing of property is necessary to facilitate an investigation or prosecution, the special prosecutor shall, in writing, direct the freezing of the property of a person or entity being investigated or specified property held by a person or entity other than the person or entity being investigated or prosecuted. The special prosecutor shall, within 14 days after the freezing of the property, apply to the court for a confirmation of the freezing. Now, it goes on in chapter 31 of the same act, and it says that where the application is made for freezing order, the court shall issue the order if it is satisfied that the respondent is being investigated for corruption or corruption-related offense. The respondent is charged with corruption or corruption-related offense. And in this case, we know that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is investigating the former Sanitation Minister for corruption or corruption-related offense. And this is different and distinct from the action taken by the Office of the Attorney General. The office is looking into possible stealing and money laundering. So these are two different investigations undertaken by two different bodies, the OSP. In this case, the OSP has taken the step to freeze the bank accounts both in local and foreign currencies, and also the money they took from the home of Madam Cecilia Dapaah is still held by the OSP. But per the law, they need to go back to court. So the motion we are learning this evening is asking the court to give them, if you like, confirmation to continue to hold on to the seizure and also the freezing of the account, Evans.
And as we're learning, this is something that world should come for consideration by the courts next week.
Yes, next week, Thursday.
Okay. But this freezing of the accounts has been something that the OSP had effected for quite a while. In other words, Madam Cecilia Dapaah have not had access to her accounts for quite some time.
Absolutely. In fact, what we do know is that the OSP took the steps to, put a hold on the accounts, the bank accounts of Madam Cecilia Dapaah after the search they undertook in her home, where now we are learning that they took some money, but we've been probing to establish how much was taken from the home. Our sources is unable to tell us the exact amount, but according to our sources, it's all part of the investigation that they are conducting. Now, furtherance to that, they looked into her bank accounts because of the peculiar nature of the investigation being undertaken by the OSP, and that led to the freezing of some accounts. Here also, we are unable to, put a figure on it, but we are told that the account is more than one, and they are in foreign and local denominations.
And of course, we don't know yet what the lawyers for Cecilia Dapaah's position is on this matter, and whether or not they have objected. But we expect that when this comes up for court consideration, we'll get a clearer picture as to what their position is on this. So there are two things tonight that we're learning: that yes, monies were retrieved from her home, additional amounts. We don't know exactly how much. The OSP has been keeping custody of these amounts and has currently filed a process in court to confirm custody, and also the bank accounts that have been frozen. And Elting, this is all part of the OSP's own investigations into the Cecilia Dapaah matter, quite distinct from what the police is doing on the advice of the Attorney General.
Absolutely, Evans. In fact, if you look at the two scenarios, the Attorney General or the police through the Attorney General is looking at possible stealing and, of course, money laundering. Remember that yesterday, some 7 people were put before an Accra court to answer for the charges leveled against them by the police. Indeed, the police, maintained that the amount in question, that's $1 million, belongs to Madam Cecilia Abena Dapaah. The OSP is looking at possible corruption and corruption-related activities, whether or not Madam Cecilia Dapaah, the money in question, were gotten through ill means, or whether she used her office to influence, whether the office was used to, acquire the money in question. So there are various issues that are being questioned. Money laundering and stealing, that is an aspect being pursued by the police and the Attorney General. The OSP own is quite distinct. They are looking at corruption and corruption-related activities relating to the matter in question, the $1 million and the other amount of money involved. And that's how come they've taken the steps to, freeze the accounts.
Thank you very much, Elting, giving us those exclusive details as far as Cecilia Dapaah's bank accounts are concerned. Multiple bank accounts in which they found different currencies, all tonight frozen, including monies retrieved from her home. Has been in custody of the special prosecutor, and now processes have been filed in court to confirm both. And this is coming on the back of what we learned yesterday in court, where police prosecutors amended and filed fresh charge sheets just yesterday, and insisted on the face of these charge sheets that the $1 million found in her home belonged to her. And that is interesting, only because the AG's advice in that document that we read from the AG, they had stated that Cecilia Dapaah had written a statement in which she had also stated in clear terms, according to the AG's advice, that the $800,000 they found in the box did not belong to her, but belonged to her deceased brother. But I want to quickly read to you what the police prosecutors filed yesterday, which is the very latest, the 4th amendment of the charge sheet. And they only detail that in this charge sheet that agrees and reflects the AG's advice is a separation of the $1 million into two, $800,000 and $200,000. So, quote, particulars of offense for Patience Botche, who and Sarah J. And by the way, Sarah J, we understand, is still struggling to meet the bail conditions. We'll get clarity on what has happened. And she is, as we understand, a nursing mother. Sometime in the year 2022, at Abelinkpe in the Greater Accra region, and within the jurisdiction of this court, did dishonestly appropriate cash the sum of 800,000 United States dollars, the property of Cecilia Abena Dapaah, and that is what the police prosecutors are still saying. In fact, they move from belonging to, and they're clear now that it's the property of Cecilia Dapaah, and they continue when it comes to the 200,000 that again sometime in the year 2022 at Abelinkpe in the Greater Accra region and within the jurisdiction of this court did dishonestly appropriate cash the sum of 200,000 United States dollars. Again, the property of Cecilia Abena Dapaah, and police prosecutors have put this before the courts. I want to bring in right now, on the back of what we're learning, the latest freezing of the account, Professor Kwejo Appiah-Tiam, who is Associate Professor at the University of Ghana School of Law. Also joining me is Mariada with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Lady Prof, let me start with you. So the special prosecutors' actions that they've taken tonight, what's your view on it as far as the legal remit and the authority that they've been granted is concerned? Are they fair and square within what they're allowed to do within the law?
Yes, thank you for having me. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is equated to has the powers of the police as prescribed under the Offences Act, the Criminal and Other Offences Act. And so, in that respect, he has the power of seizure and the power to confiscate properties, especially if he has reasonable suspicion that the property is tainted. And so, in that respect, the property that was seized has to go to court for the court to confirm that indeed the amount of money needs to remain with the OSP to help with investigations. The same with the property that has been frozen. That also needs to be confirmed that indeed the property needs to be continued. Freezing of the property is critical for investigations to be concluded and for prosecutions to start where necessary. And if after a period of time, I think the OSP has 60 days or so to take the case to court for the court to confirm the amount and for the continued seizure. If not, the money has returned to the person who the money was taken from. And the act prevents the person whose money was seized and returned to him from suing the office of the OSP. And so, if you look at the OSP Act, clearly they are working within the confines of the law.
And as far as the rights of the individual here in question, Cecilia Dapaah, what rights have they got now that this matter, the special prosecutor has now written or applied to the courts to confirm the seizure and the freezing of the accounts?
Well, at this moment, it's a criminal act. And in criminal law, when such situations happen, your rights as a citizen who is alleged to have committed an act, your rights could be curtailed or suspended. And so in this particular situation, the accused person or the suspect doesn't have a particular right to access the property until the court make a final determination of it. So her right to her property is frozen at the moment. She will not be able to enjoy it. And but I was saying, if the special prosecutor doesn't proceed to press charges or to prefer charges and to prosecute the matter within a 60-day time frame, then the property is supposed to return to her. And so that is a right which is suspended for now until, depending on the action that the officer of the special prosecutor will take.
And Mary, give me your quick reaction to what we're learning tonight. It appears the special prosecutors moving very quickly. Rarely have we had this story of recently a cabinet minister who has been forced to resign, having her bank accounts frozen in this particular manner?
Yes, that is true. Good evening, and good evening to your listeners, and good evening to Prof as well. One of the things that civil society has continued to advocate is the fact that we need to have within our space acts of corruption being investigated and prosecuted as quickly as possible without compromising the standards. And we are aware that the Special Prosecutor's Office has in the recent past shown that if given the total support of all stakeholders, they would do a lot of good. Perhaps maybe in this case, we are talking about a sitting minister, so it would be a little surprising, and perhaps many other people had their doubts as to how this would go. But for some of us, we had no doubt whatsoever, knowing that they were already investigating this issue when it came up. And so it's not surprising at all. He could do even more. Now, what we need to all pay attention to is the fact that we need to support the office and ensure that whatever information we have, if indeed it is true that they recovered some more sums of money at her home and then others from a various bank accounts as the leaked information is showcasing. And we need to all be very worried, and we need to all pay attention. So this is the time when citizens must be very proactive. Citizens must take their role in the fight against corruption more seriously, so that whoever has some information, better particulars, then would send them to the office to support in the work they are currently doing.
Prof, what's your comment on the way the special prosecutor has so far conducted this probe?
Say it again, please.
Your comment on the way the special prosecutor has so far conducted this probe is a very high-profile one.
Yes, I think the special prosecutor has conducted himself very well. He has really proven that he can be an independent person and the office can act independently. Because when this issue came up, people were concerned about. He has shown consistency. He has proven that he is a man of his own and he has the power and the caliber to perform the function.
Hello, Prof. I'm losing you. If you don't mind repositioning or speaking directly to the phone, I'm struggling to hear. Hopefully better now.
Sorry, is it better?
Yes, it's great. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm saying that he has really shown that he's performing according to the functions of his office. The independence that the office is clothed with is being exercised. And so we applaud him for taking these bold steps, which are in line with what the Act has, the powers that the Act has given him. And we are hoping that it will continue, because really it is the way to go, and has to make sure that the corruption fight is taken seriously.
And we've seen in the past, though, I mean, when this comes up in court, the past lawyers will have to also, of course, put up a case why they believe the seizure and also the account has now been frozen isn't the right thing. It comes down to the justification. And again, as you've just explained, the law allows the OSP to hold it, to do so within a specified time, and they have to go to court. I mean, you've applauded him, but then, of course, he has to justify, is it not, that this seizure is in the interest of getting to the bottom of what has happened and is the right thing to do in this matter. I mean, there's a lot still that needs to happen to ensure that the law is upheld here, and it all goes down to the sanctity of the probe that has been done so far, and whether they have enough to convince the courts that this is the right course of action.
Definitely. At this point, in terms of procedure, in terms of the necessary first steps to be taken, he has done according to as the law has prescribed. Because if these steps were not taken to cause the seizure of the property, which is reasonably suspected to be tainted. Anything can happen to their money. So the OSP has to act quickly and timelessly to ensure that the money is secured, then followed by going to court by way of notice. So the other party will be notified so that they can also contest it. So at this point, everything that the OSP has taken procedurally is in order. But the other matters will have to will unfold when the case goes to court, and that is where the other party will also come into to justice or to find a way to maybe cut into the OSP's steps and decisions taken to know if really he's on the right track or not. But at this point, he's on course.
I mean, Mary, at the GIU issued a statement demanding that the probe is thorough. Since then, we've seen that the AG also had given some advice. We've seen the facts as contained in the AG's advice. Yesterday, the police prosecutors were back in court with a fresh charge sheet that has been amended. And the central controversial point of the ownership of the $1 million, they haven't changed their position on that. I mean, considering that the police investigation on the advice of the AG is going on side by side that of the special prosecutor, and we're seeing what the special prosecutor is doing. From you at the civil society level and anti-corruption level, what is your reading of these two very separate investigations? However, both of them have common threats. As in now looking at the source, where do you stand on the police's work on the back of the AG's advice and what we're seeing the special prosecutor doing?
So even for the work of the police, let me say I had cause to question who we should be believing when it comes to the case involving stealing. And that is where the Attorney General and the police are having their issues. And for me, I really am very excited that the police has kept its stance that the ownership of the money remains with the woman. As to whether they will come back to change their charges to reflect a different phenomena, we don't know. But as at now, what the police has done is to remain focused and continue on that trajectory, that this is what they are doing. And so it's becoming worrying, the role being played by the Attorney General, bringing in contradictory views as to the ownership and how the woman reported. And we have had calls to even look back into time. This issue happened some time back, and the way things are going with it is becoming a little confusing, that somebody has an issue in October and the person only makes their complaint in July. Granted, again, we are now having the state institution, the institution that is supposed to be the attorney of state, per Article 88, is coming to say that the woman said this, her brother has also said something else. But the police has been consistent in all their charges from the three that you have mentioned so far, that the owner of the resources remains the Honorable former former Minister of State, Sanitation, for that matter. And so in that case, this is a different trajectory which is being taken. We are particularly concerned about the way the Attorney General is carrying on. However, let me say that one of the things the Attorney General has done that has also brought clarity to this work is the fact that they ask that they decouple the amount, but then the police have shown that that is what they were already doing all this while. Then the next thing that happened, which we would say is good, is the fact that the police should expand the investigation beyond the ceiling and the amount to money laundering. And I believe the OSP's role in this regard is also very clear and explicit. He is to investigate corruption and corruption-related offenses. And so he is the person we should be looking into. And now that we have some semblance of information that they are in court to demand for the freeze order to be maintained so that they can go into all the accounts they have been able to secure, which contain huge sums of money per the statement we have all read. It's in a good direction. For us in civil society, we believe that agencies should collaborate. Agencies should work together. And this is one of such instances that we believe that the OSC can lead in looking into the issues of corruption and corruption-related offenses, and where possible, the police will support with the information, and the expeditious release of some of this information would inure to the good of the investigation. And at the end of the day, it is Ghana we are all serving. And so that should be the most significant or the cogent point we should all be articulating. And again, I say that it is Ghana we all want the best for. So if somebody is alleged to have done something that is related to corruption, we see the OSC playing a significant role. So there should be effective interagency collaboration to unearth the facts of this case. That is what the people of Ghana want to see.
Mariada, thank you very much. And she is with the Ghana Integrity Initiative, the local chapter of Transparency International. LA head Professor P.J. Tia, who is an associate professor at the University of Ghana School of Law there. And just us been talking, the suspects in the case, one of them, the lawyers for the lactating suspect, Sarah J., are still racing against time to meet that 1 million cedi bail bond for her. Augustine Jingfi has been telling John News his aim is to secure Sarah's release and facilitate her reunion with a 6-month-old infant. For days, they have struggled to meet the conditions. He's described the bail conditions as stringent, and that's something we will check for you, whether they've succeeded now in meeting the bail conditions for that lactating mother now to take some relief from the custody that she's currently in, as far as the police is concerned. You want to join us on Newsnight for more on this?
Hey, you ever